have we misdiagnosed what's been going on since the 9/11 attacks? Have we decided to focus on policies of war and law, which, though they have a role and are not the be-all and end-all solution to this problem? Because if the diagnosis is, as I believe it is, that we are witnessing a global jihadist insurgency, just look back to the terrible summer we just had of attacks all across Europe and across the world. Just look to the way in which the Medusa's head of ISIS and its affiliates, and Al-Qaeda and its affiliates, and Al-Shabaab and its affiliates, and Boko Haram and its affiliates, and Taliban and their affiliates, and need I go on listing the plethora of terrorist groups that have emerged, fighting for the cause of jihadism, subscribing to the Islamist ideology, how they have proliferated across the world, I believe points to the fact that we have failed. They have metastasized. In certain places they are taking over, such as in Iraq and in Syria. And in Afghanistan, we're about to pull all of our military operations out, and we've gone back to square one with a resurgent Taliban. If we defeat ISIS in Iraq and Syria, believe me, I spend most of my days talking, studying, reading, debating, and researching in this. When I tell you Al-Qaeda there is stronger than it has ever been, ever. And then look to Yemen with a civil war where there's again a resurgent Al-Qaeda. I believe that by focusing on law and war, and by not focusing on undermining the support for the Islamist ideology within Muslim communities, we have not only missed a trick, we've missed a decade. And therefore, is it about time that instead of our over-reliance on militarization, securitization, and legislation, we shed our inhibitions, our fears, this belief somehow that by talking about it we're racist, that by talking about it we are Islamophobic, and instead do to Islamist theocracy what has been done to homophobia, what has been done to racism, what has been done to anti-Semitism, and that is to make it an incredible taboo in society for anybody, Muslim or not, to say, I aspire one day in an ideal scenario for Islam to be implemented over society. I don't care whether you're talking about a Muslim majority context or a Muslim minority context. Nobody ever has the right to interpret, enforce any version of Islam over anyone, because that would be a fundamental denial of their basic human rights to freedom of and from religion. And I think it's that conversation we should be having. It's that struggle we should be engaged in, rather than our over-reliance on securitization and legislation. And I believe that politicians and policymakers, from fear of racism, from pandering to this myth of the Muslim community block vote, instead of having that conversation, have decided to focus on quick fixes and easy solutions, which involve banning things and prescribing things and introducing laws that hold people for detention without charge and invading things so they can show people they're doing something about it. Well, 15 years on, guess what? Everything you've done has backfired. And it's about time instead that we allowed people to have this debate and encouraged liberal, reforming Muslims within Muslim communities to have this debate so that they could start challenging this poisonous ideology within their own communities, but not just Muslims. You don't have to be black to challenge racism. You don't have to be gay to challenge homophobia. You don't have to be Jewish to challenge anti-Semitism. You do not have to be Muslim to challenge Islamist theocracy. It's everybody's responsibility to stand together to challenge this, and that's what I think is the way forward.